Welcome, boys. Okay, in this video, I'm going to take you on a little ride along with me in the Crown Vic. So, did a video similar to this with the BMW where I took you guys on a ride along, and it was a two-part series. Part one was leading up to how I got the car and why, and then part two was after I had acquired the car, what it was like to daily drive it. So we're going to do the same thing here with the Crown Vic, but I'll try to condense it into one video for you. So, why did I decide to get this thing? Well, as mentioned in the BMW video, the BMW got rear-ended right after I got done restoring it, just a few days afterwards, by a fool in the city with no insurance. And that caused a substantial amount of damage to the car, about $4,000 worth. And I had to fix that, which we still haven't done yet because I didn't have full coverage on it at the time. So after doing that, now it has full coverage and we're going to eventually get that thing fixed. So when that does happen, that's not going to be our winter driver anymore. That'll still be the, for the most part, the daily, but this Crown Vic's main purpose, the main reason I got this thing, is so it will be the winter daily driver. And being it's a cheap car to purchase and maintain, went ahead and bought a set of steel wheels for it, on a complete new set that I plan on getting the snow tires on, so when it actually gets snowy, I can drive it. I drove the BMW right after I restored it. And with its just all-season tires and an open diff, it was rootin'. I actually thought that car had limited slip diff until I actually was in the rear end that one day, and then in the video I did. I spun one set of wheels after I put the axle shaft back in, and then the other wheel on playback, I noticed the other wheel spun the opposite direction. I go, holy crap, that thing's limited slip. Right, I go, that thing's open diff. I thought it was limited slip. It does so good in the winter. So this Crown Vic isn't open diff, but I'm thinking with the snow tires, we should be able to get her done. But I am on the hunt for another limited slip diff for this thing. So we'll see how that goes. This winter we might just be running open diff, snow tires only. And if it does good, I might not bother with it. But if I can, I'll try to find a limited slip diff at a pick and pull it out and then install it in here. So that's one reason. Another reason is way back in the day when I only owned two cars. I had the Corvette and the Camaro, and I was scheduled to work a riot, a largely peaceful protest, and well, I drove the Corvette there, and it didn't turn out so well for it. It was on the receiving ends of some damage from some fellas and lovely ladies. And I said to myself, well, we need a car that I can drive around in the winter, that if it gets beat up, it'll be easy and cheap to repair. And if I have to go work a riot and it gets beat up and damaged, it'll be cheap and easy to repair. And if I drive it around enough and it just mechanically breaks, it'll be cheap and easy to repair. And having driven the BMW, I got used to driving a big, huge, large luxury car. So I found this thing on Facebook Marketplace. I had been using a Purple Wave auction searching, and I had also used Auto Tempest. But the wife found this one from a private seller on Facebook Marketplace, $1,500 bucks. It's an 02, had 143,000 miles on it, has 144,000 miles on it now. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger on it, made the purchase, and you've been seeing videos on this thing on and off since then. So what do I like to drive? Well, the air conditioning works phenomenally. Like, I'm so cold now, I might have to turn it off. Ooh, it works that good, boys. And in addition to that, it is very roomy and big and comfy. Like, I dare say it's wider than the BMW. I'd have to actually do some measurements on that, but I swear when Katie sits over on that passenger side, she's really far away from me. Like, it takes some effort to reach things over there. Now, the back seat's not quite as far away as the BMW, so, like, that thing's cavernous. Like, you drop something back in the back seat, you're going to be pulling over to get it, because you can't just reach back there and get it in an IL. But this thing you can. The headrests are fairly comfy. They're not quite as big as I like. Anybody knows me knows I like to rest my head on the headrest. And I like a big headrest. So I'm still on the hunt for a blue-colored interior, like 06 and up, that has the big headrests. I will swap those out. I swapped the sun visors out for some with the little mirrors in them. I did a lot of suspension work on this thing. The suspension rides like crap compared to my other cars, with the exception of maybe the Corvette. I'd say it rides about the same as the Vet, which is like a sled. And new shocks do not help that, by the way. Now, I don't know if the civilian Crown Vics ride much better, but if you're in the market for a cheap, reliable behemoth of a car, and you don't really care if it rides like crap, then yeah, I'd say go ahead and get one of these. But if you want a nice comfort ride, you need to get yourself an E38 and hope that you don't live in a place where nobody has insurance, or get like a town car and keep full coverage on that, and or hope somebody somebody doesn't crash into you without insurance. So I do have this thing fully insured now, along with the E38. And, it is kind of a waste. It's a lot of money to fully insure a car that's 20 years old, in the case of the BMW, and 18 years old in the case of this. But unfortunately, in the city of St. Louis, you have to do it. Because if you don't, people are just going to hit you, and they don't have insurance, so your car's not getting fixed. And it's not that I'm going to crash the car or I have it fully insured because I'm that bad of a driver, but the problem is everybody else, they hit you all the time. They drive like jerks. You'll see my dash cam compilation folder for further on that. Everybody runs red lights. They don't go when the light's green. They speed. They pass you on the right when there's only one lane, and you're in the lane ahead of them. They pass you in the oncoming lane. They cut over. I mean, it's out of control. But getting back to how this thing drives. No, it drives pretty good. Repairing on it is cheap. And it's kind of easy, but when you got seized bolts and stuff, it's hard, just like it is in any car. Like the shocks on this were brutal. I had to cut them off and everything because there was just no way to get them any other way. But in general, now this is a pretty nice car. It's got a lot less miles than the BMW. It might actually drive longer than the BMW. Who knows? We'll have to put that to the test reliability-wise. But it's comfy for the most part. Especially if you're going to sit in it for a long time. So I would drive this. I would take this thing on a road trip. It's pretty comfy, but it just doesn't absorb bumps like like the BMW. If you want something like that, I would recommend the town car, which I'll do a video similar to this on the town car coming up. Because that thing rides nice. This does not ride nice, but it's not what it was designed for. It's designed as a police car, or at least the P71 version is. So you've got the cop shocks, cop brakes, cop whatever's on it, and it does all right. I mean, it can take a hit. You feel the bumps, but you don't feel that it's really damaging the suspension that badly. And if it does, well, it's fairly cheap to fix. You just might be seized on there from all the rust. But I do like switching back and forth between the BMW and this. It's always nice to have another spare car that's similar to the BMW, because the Corvette these days, it really only gets driven to the Corvette show. It's my spare backup car. Another reason I got this is because Katie's Neon was breaking occasionally, and then she would want to drive the BMW instead of the Vet, and then I was forced to drive the Corvette, and I was like, man, I don't really like driving the Corvette that much. So now that I have this, her car breaks, she can drive the Vic, and I can drive the E38 like I always do. All right, boys, I thought I was going to close that video out. I had a whole different ending and everything, but as I finished editing the video and scheduling it for release, my boy Chuck posted on YouTube referring people over to check out my awesome head-resting superior premium content or something to that effect. In other words, you come to this channel for premium head-resting vlog action. So in an effort not to disappoint anybody who's come over here for that, here we are again. So, to talk about the headrest game of this car, it's okay, it's acceptable, but if I was to rate it on all of the cars I own, where does it stack up? It's the worst. It's the worst headrest out of all of them. Small. Look how small this thing is. I like a big, meaty headrest. And a comfy one. So if I was to rate my car's headrests in order of best to worst, the best headrest award goes to the BMW E38. Hands down, not even a contest. It's power, it goes up, down, forwards, backwards, left, right, sideways. It's a legitimate headrest. And it's all plush and soft, and leathery, and full of foam, and it takes the cake. So next best headrest, I'd say, goes to the Corvette. It's foam and it's cloth, but it's in just the right spot, and man, you get your head on there, and it's a good time. Nice and soft and foamy and squishy, and I mean, your head just gets absorbed into it. Perfect. The next best headrest goes to the Camaro, because though it is big, it's very hard and leathery. And that's where this one falls behind, because it's not big, it is very hard, it's not leathery, but it's not very soft. So I'm still on the hunt for a blue in color headrest from a newer Crown Vic that'll fit this one. But I'm not sure if they made this color interior in later Crown Vics when they had the big headrest. I've only seen the black ones. So, I don't know. Katie was thinking maybe I can buy one from the junkyard and then maybe dye it. I don't know, maybe I gotta bleach it first and then dye it blue. Or maybe I just throw it in here black and just have a two-tone headrest black, rest of the car blue. I don't know, what do you guys think? Okay, but in all seriousness though, I did want to just mention a few other things about the Crown Vic, driving it around, and then we'll conclude this vlog. So, actually, what is it like to kind of drive it from my perspective? So, on the highway, if you're coming up on people, they will get out of your way. But if you're not coming up on people, they kind of slow down, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to get around them. Because this car looks like a cop car. It's all white, it's got the spotlight, it's got the push bumper on the front of it. So, and some of these cars are still in service around here, just despite their age. It's usually like the cheaper departments that can't afford anything nice, like Wellston, back when they were a thing. But in town, they don't get out of your way. They go incredibly slow. If you need to get somewhere in a hurry, it depends on who's in front of you. You're generally not going to get in a hurry because everyone in front of you is going to go slow, unless the fellas and lovely ladies are the ones in front of you. Because then they just, they don't care. They drive like assholes anyway. So you'll get there just as fast, if not faster. Unless they have, I've noticed when they have, paper expired plates in their car, and I'm behind them, then they tend to go really slow for some reason. I guess they're hoping I won't notice, but you would think that you would want to go faster, because then I wouldn't notice. They're so fast and ahead of me. So that's how that goes. But, overall, so I guess to summarize then, in conclusion and summary, bought the car as a good winter alternative for the BMW, because after they re-tinted my rear window, also my rear window defroster doesn't work in that car anymore. And I managed to repair the one in this, if you saw that video a while back, using the Permatex, I think, defroster repair kit. So we do have, this is going to become the new better winter car. It's going to be cheap to repair if it gets smashed up, and now I have full coverage on both of them, all of them. But I should be okay to root around in this thing. And if it gets smashed up, well, the junkyard's always got parts in there. I can just go and grab some. Not a big deal. Also, I like big cars now because you got lots of room. They're easy to get in and out of compared to the Vet or the Camaro, for example. When I'm wearing my duty belt, I don't want it all damaging my leather or other comfy interior. And I think last but not least, whenever Katie's car breaks, I don't have to drive the Corvette. I can either drive this and give her the BMW, or I'll drive the BMW and she can drive this. But so I do like the car overall. I would recommend getting one if you're on the fence. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there on how to repair these things should anything break. So there's no shortage of that. The repair books you can get, Haynes has got the manuals. I've got the factory service manual. So there's information on these things out there to fix them. The parts are fairly cheap. The engine's pretty reliable for being an overhead cam design. We all know I'm a big fan of pushrod V8s, but surprisingly the BMW's overhead cam design works well, and this works probably even better. But if you want like cushy glide over bumps, this is not the car, not with the P71 suspension. You need to be rocking a town car or something. So that's my final thoughts on this thing. So hopefully you liked the video. Hopefully this will do until my finger heals and I can get in some real repair content. But for until that day comes, I might have to just settle for some of this stuff. So thanks for watching, boys. You enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.